The picture is really building nicely. I continue applying texture to the ear with the dart, and as with the rest of the elephant, I use a tight circular motion to create the texture of the skin. This can be very repetitive and time consuming, but you still must concentrate when doing this, as it is very easy to become complacent, and then the pattern can become too loose. I now use a sharp 2B pencil to freehand in some of the finer wrinkles. Switching to a blunt 4B for thicker, darker areas. Again, this is all about making patterns. This process is then repeated over the rest of the year, slowly building it up. I now want to give a harder, more defined edge to the ear. So to do this I use the sharp 2B pencil, and this will create a bit more separation between the animal and the background. As the picture is getting nearer to completion, I can now start to use 9B to add the last bit of contrast. This only makes a subtle difference, but it does nevertheless make a difference to the overall appearance of the picture. More tone and detail are then added above the tusk. Now this area is in shadow, and this will also help to create more depth between this part and the lighter tusk. By rolling a point on the end of the kneadable eraser, areas that appear too dark can be lightened by just drawing the tone back out. Alternatively, if a texture looks too harsh, the look can be softened by just brushing the blending stump over the top, giving a softer appearance. To create the look of the tusk, I first use the 4B to apply some of the darker tones. Then switch to the sharp 2B for the finer details. This is purely done freehand, as texture is not required over this area. Again, I study the reference photograph before starting, and only work in small areas at a time. I now want to create some prominent highlights. So to do this I use an electric eraser, as I really want these to stand out. For the areas below the tusk, as with the previous parts, texture is applied with tone then being added over the top. And to finish the elephant, I continue applying 9B for that last bit of contrast. The effect of the dust in the background looks a little bit too soft. So to strengthen it, I start by using a piece of cotton wool that is ingrained with graphite, randomly applying more tone. This gives quite a soft edge, so to define it a little bit more, I use the blender to strengthen some of the edges. The cotton wool can also be used to move graphite around that is already on the paper. It is then simply a case of just working over the background to create the hazy, dusty appearance that is required. As I said in the previous part, cotton wool and blenders can be loaded with graphite by applying 2 or 4B pencil to a piece of scrap paper and then working the graphite in. Alternatively, you can do this with a graphite powder. I recently made a video on how to make this, and I have put a link in the description. After working on all the detail, this is a really nice part of the picture to work on. as you can work very loosely over a large area. Now that I'm happy with how the picture looks, I can remove the mask from the outside. The only other thing left to do is to sign the picture, and then it is finished. I hope that you have found this series helpful, so why not try something like this yourself? If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comment section below, and thank you for watching.